Imagine moving into your dream home, a cozy house with a big backyard, perfect for your kids to play in. Maybe even a dog to chase them around. You've saved for years, signed the papers, and finally, it's yours. That's what I thought when I moved into Willow Creek. But let me tell you, sometimes the place you call home can turn into a battlefield. And for me, that battle was against the Willow Creek Homeowners Association. This is the story of how they tried to take everything from me, and how I fought back. My name's Sarah, a single mom with 2 kids, trying to start fresh after a rough couple of years. Willow Creek seemed like a dream. Quiet streets, friendly neighbors, and a community pool my kids couldn't stop talking about. But the HOA, they were something else. From day one, they sent me a letter. My mailbox was the wrong shade of blue. Apparently, navy wasn't in their approved color palette. I thought, okay, fine, I'll repaint it. But that was just the beginning. They started nitpicking everything. My lawn was half an inch too tall, and my car was parked 2 inches over the line. Every week, a new fine. $50 here, $100 there. It was like they were trying to bleed me dry. I tried to play nice. I went to their meetings, smiled, and asked questions. But the board, they were led by this guy, Richard Vance, who acted like he owned the whole neighborhood. He'd sit there in his pressed suit, smirking, while people begged to explain why they couldn't pay their fines. I'll never forget the time he told an elderly neighbor, Mrs. Carter, she'd lose her home if she didn't pay. $2,000 for unapproved flower beds. Flower beds. I started wondering, where was all this money going? The community pool was always closed, the streets had potholes, and the playground was falling apart. Something wasn't right. One night, I was up late, scrolling through the HOA's website, trying to find their budget. Buried in the fine print, I found a clause saying the HOA could foreclose on your home if you didn't pay fines within 90 days. My heart sank. I was already behind $1,000 to $100. And with my job barely covering the bills, I didn't have that kind of cash. That's when I realized this wasn't about blue mailboxes or tall grass. This was about control. They were targeting people like me, people who couldn't fight back, to push us out and take our homes. I couldn't let that happen. My kids loved this house. It was the first place we felt safe after everything we'd been through. So I started digging. I stayed up night after night, reading HOA laws, state regulations, anything I could find. I found out that HOAs can't just make up rules. They have to follow their own bylaws, and guess what?
Willow Creek's bylaws hadn't been updated in 15 years. Half the fines they were charging weren't even legal. I felt a spark of hope, but I knew I couldn't do this alone. I started talking to my neighbors, quietly, over coffee or at the park. A lot of them were scared, but they were angry too. There was Javier, who got fined for his kid's basketball hoop, and Lisa, who was hit with a $500 penalty for a non-compliant fence that was there when she bought her house. We formed a little group, meeting in my garage so the HOA wouldn't catch on. We called ourselves the Willow Creek Rebels. Sounds dramatic, I know, but that's what it felt like, a rebellion. Our first move was to demand a meeting with the board. We showed up with a stack of printouts, proof their fines were illegal, copies of the bylaws, even emails from the state saying HOAs can't foreclose without a court order. Richard Vance wasn't smirking anymore. He tried to shut us down, saying we were disrupting community harmony. But we kept pushing. We got 30 neighbors to sign a petition demanding a vote to replace the board. According to the bylaws, if 2/3 of the homeowners agreed, we could kick them out. The HOA fought dirty. They sent letters to everyone, saying we were troublemakers who'd ruin the neighborhood. They even hired a lawyer to scare us, claiming we'd owe thousands in legal fees if we lost. I won't lie, there were nights I wanted to give up. My kids were asking why I was so stressed, and I didn't know how to explain that we might lose our home. But every time I thought about quitting, I remembered Mrs. Carter, crying at that meeting, or Javier, who just wanted his kid to play basketball. This wasn't just about me anymore. The day of the vote was like something out of a movie. Neighbors packed the community center, some shouting, others whispering nervously. Richard Vance gave a speech, promising lower fines and a new playground if we kept him in charge. But we weren't buying it. One by one, people stood up to share their stories. Lisa talked about her fence. Javier showed a picture of his son shooting hoops. Even Mrs. Carter, shaky but determined, told everyone how the HOA made her feel like a criminal for planting roses. When the votes were counted, we had 68%, just enough to win. You'd think that'd be the end, but Richard didn't go quietly. He filed a lawsuit, claiming the vote was rigged. It dragged on for months, and the legal fees started piling up. I was terrified we'd lose everything. But then something amazing happened. The community stepped up. Neighbors I barely knew started a fundraiser to cover our costs. People shared our story online, and soon, local news picked it up. The pressure was too much for the HOA. Richard dropped the lawsuit, and the old board stepped down. Today, Willow Creek is different. We've got a new board, people like Javier and Lisa, who actually care about the neighborhood. The pool's open, the playground's fixed, and those ridiculous fines? Gone. I learned something through all this. Sometimes, the people who seem powerful only have that power because we let them. Standing up isn't easy. It's scary, and it's messy. But when you fight for what's right, you'd be surprised how many people will fight with you. If you're dealing with an HOA nightmare, don't give up. Read your bylaws, talk to your neighbors, and know your rights. You don't have to be a lawyer or a hero, just someone who's had enough. And if this story hit home, hit that like button, subscribe to HOA Chronicles, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Let's keep shining a light on these HOA horror stories, one video at a time. Until next time, stay strong, and don't let anyone take what's yours.